Hey everyone. Okay, so one of the more intriguing things about this episode for me is how it adapted the manga, because in essence, this chapter it adapts three chapters, 45, 46, and 47, but it also takes that one scene with Granny Mia from the manga and kind of splices it into into two separate scenes throughout the episode. And I'm not gonna lie, the end result of this is fascinating because by making this very odd creative choice, I feel it visually does a better job than the manga at kind of conveying the warning Granny Mio was trying to impart to Taro, which is that for as strong as he is still like a shell of his former self, and the one closest to sitting at the peak of where Taro once sat is Nagamo. Like objectively, Nagamo is stronger than Taro at this point. And again, in the way the episode splices those scenes together with the fight between Nagamo versus Minimalist, I think it weirdly does a better job at visually conveying that to us that the difference in strength between Taro and Nagamo. Of course, Granny Mia's message in itself, no matter how it's portrayed, is kind of clear. Taro and Shin need to get stronger if they intend to continue this crusade, and although Mia opening up Taro's pressure points is a start, that's really only like us again a, a starting line of where he needs to go. Like it's up to Taro to do the rest and to actually start developing himself. And yeah, side note, but it's still just good to see Barbara Goodson to be getting this kind of voice acting renaissance. Like, I think the last thing I saw her in that's not Dandadan was probably the Viz dub of Sailor Moon, but yeah, like it's just good to be hearing Barbara Goodson's voice again in so many things. And in saying that, yeah, the animation this week, I would say is an improvement from last episode, at least in the fact things do feel more fluid, and I didn't notice any of those awkward flashes breaking up the action like last episode. But as far as actual improvement, it's one of those weird edge cases where I am noticing the jump in quality, but I think I noticed it more with the apart fight and not as and a little bit with the Nagamo fight, but not as much so, which admittedly in itself is a little disheartening because even though I enjoyed Nagamo's fight in this episode, there is still that feeling like it deserved better than what we got, and like the only way I can describe my feelings on the animation this week and probably going forward as well is that in some moments I see them I see them TMS trying to put in actual effort into certain fights, while in other cases cutting corners by using the manga as a straightforward storyboard. And it's just one of those things where I don't know what it is that's holding them back, if it's just budget or if it's something else, but it's like on one end I see the effort, on the other end I see them like I see them just not putting in as much. So it's like they're having to make it's like they're having to like pick and choose as to where they put the effort and where they don't. Like I don't know what the reasoning is, but it's by technical definition it makes this core better than core one, but it's like when are we going to get to a point where they don't need to make those sacrifices, I guess is where is the point I'm trying to get at here. Um, and yeah, other than that, not much else to talk about other than next episode where we're getting into a part's past and his backstory, and I won't go into spoilers, but his backstory is the most atypical for a serial killer with a little bit of a twist that I like. Again, I'm not going to spoil it, but it's one of those things where our part's backstory is going to be very typical for what you expect from a serial killer backstory, but it's also one that it kind of touches on a little bit of those what you could say cultural expectations when it comes to Japan again, and it's kind of combines the two pretty well. And yeah, it is, and outside of that, it is kind of hilariously epic to see Taro being able to move at incredible speeds while still in his like chubby base self. Like as Granny Mio said, he's always had to rely on slimming down to win, but now that she attacked she opened up one of those pressure points to unlock some of his latent potential. Supposedly, Taro can now more naturally develop, and I do like how Granny Mia did bring up that the way Taro has been doing things before was kind of actually detriment to his growth and his health, and even hindering his growth as well. Like forcing himself to slim down was not the most beneficial way to do things, and if he wanted to keep growing and progressing, it was always going to hinder him if he kept doing that. But here, but here, it's sort of tapping into the idea that each person, regardless of appearance or weight or just generally how they look, each person, regardless of appearance, has their own special way of fighting. So it's kind of an interesting take on a body positivity message thrown in there. And yeah, I didn't expect, even when reading the manga, I didn't expect that from Sakamoto days, but again, kind of a nice message to have in here too. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Blue Sky, Analyst Crunchyroll. Be sure to notification bell, the subscribe button, and just share the around, guys. Dark Knight of the Night signing off. Later, everyone.